আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি আর্কিটেক্ট সাইফুল হক কে ওনার প্রেজেন্টেশন আমাদের সামনে উপস্থাপন করার জন্য। We are inviting architect Saif Ul Haque to present site situation and works.
It was an amazing presentation. Congratulations to POCA, and I would say that we should change the title from where to go, way to go. Kabir, POCA, that's the way to go. Anyway, I'd prepared this talk in English, but I can switch to Bangla because I think that's everyone is talking in Bangla. So that's the first slide. তো যে নামটা দিয়েছি ইংরেজিতে সাইট সিচুয়েশন অ্যান্ড ওয়ার্কস, আমি আর্কিটেকচার শব্দটা ব্যবহার করলাম না, আমি কাজ ব্যবহার করছি। যে আর্কিটেকচার অবশ্যই আমরা সবাই জড়িত, কিন্তু যে কাজগুলি করি সেগুলো সবগুলো কি আর্কিটেকচার হতে পারে সেটা আপনারা বিচার করবেন, সবাই বিচার করবে যে সেটা স্থাপত্যের পর্যায়ে গিয়েছে কিনা। তো আমি আমার উপস্থাপনা শুরু করছি। আমরা আজকে এখানে যেখানে বসে এই আলোচনাটা করছি এই জায়গাটার নাম তেজগাঁও, এবং কবির বললেন মাজহারুল ইসলাম সাহেবের কথা। আমাদের এটা একটা সৌভাগ্য ছিল ওনার সাথে আমরা অনেক সময় কাটানোর, ওনার খুব কাছাকাছি। তো উনি ঢাকা শহরের এই বিভিন্ন সময়ের কথা বলতেন। তো ঢাকার একটা পরিকল্পনার কথা প্রথম 1947-এর পরে, সম্ভবত 1959-এ যে পরিকল্পনাটা করা হয় ঢাকা মহাপরিকল্পনা, একটা বিদেশি প্রতিষ্ঠান ওনারা করলেন। 1947-এ আমরা ঔপনিবেশিক শাসন থেকে মুক্ত হয়ে পাকিস্তান, ইন্ডিয়া এই দুটো রাষ্ট্রে ভাগ হলাম। ঢাকা পূর্ব পাকিস্তান, পূর্ব বাংলার রাজধানী। তো সেই ঢাকার একটা মহাপরিকল্পনা, আমাদের মহাপরিকল্পনা করার কোনো সক্ষমতা ছিল না সেই সময়। আমাদেরকে বাইরের সহায়তা, এবং সেটাও যারা আমাদেরকে 47-এর আগে শাসন করছিল তাদের সহায়তায় আমাদের প্রয়োজন হলো। কলম্বো প্ল্যানের আন্ডারে একজন পরিকল্পনা টিম ওনাদের সহায়তা নিয়ে করলেন, অফিস করছেন ইডেন বিল্ডিংয়ে, যেটা বর্তমানে সচিবালয়। যেখানে সেখানে একটা মেয়েদের স্কুল ছিল, ইডেন গার্লস স্কুল। সেই স্কুলটাতে পূর্ব পাকিস্তানের প্রথম সচিবালয়। তো আপনি দেখেন শুরুটা কিভাবে আমরা করছি, শিক্ষার জায়গা নিয়ে নিচ্ছি আমলাদের জায়গা করার জন্য। নতুন আমলারা কোথায় সচিবালয় শুরু হবে। তো এটাই একটা চিন্তার ব্যাপার যে আমরা কিভাবে শুরু করছি, একটা বিদায় করছি একটা জিনিসকে, কিন্তু আমরা আসলে কিভাবে শুরু করছি। তো শুরু করলাম মেয়েদের স্কুল, ছেলেদের স্কুল না, মেয়েদের স্কুল। সেই স্কুলটাকে ওখান থেকে সরিয়ে দিলাম এবং ওখানে আমাদের সচিবালয় প্রতিষ্ঠা করলাম, এবং আজ অবধি ওখানে সচিবালয় রয়েছে। ইন্টারেস্টিংলি, দেশ স্বাধীন হওয়ার পরে লুই খান যখন বাংলাদেশে আবার উনি আসেন, বাংলাদেশ সরকারের সবচেয়ে জরুরি যেই চাহিদাটা ছিল যে আমাদেরকে একটা নতুন সচিবালয় করে দিবেন, এবং সেটা সেই সময় বঙ্গবন্ধুর সাথে লুই খানের যে আলাপ, সেখানে এটা স্পষ্টভাবে পরিষ্কারভাবে বলা হয়েছে যে একটা নতুন সচিবালয় করে দিবেন। এবং উনি একটু নিমরাজি ছিলেন, কারণ যেই জায়গাটা আমরা চাচ্ছিলাম সেক্রেটারিয়েট করব, সেই জায়গাটাতে উনি ইনস্টিটিউশনস, প্রতিষ্ঠান যেগুলো হবে আমাদের ওয়েলবিইংয়ের জন্য, ভালো থাকার জন্য, সেই প্রতিষ্ঠানগুলোর জন্য ওই জায়গাটা উনি ওনার মহাপরিকল্পনায় রেখেছিলেন। কিন্তু তৎকালীন প্রধানমন্ত্রী বললেন যে না, আমার জায়গা তোমাকে এখন দেবো আরও, কিন্তু তুমি আমাকে সচিবালয়টা দ্রুত করে দেন। এবং চমৎকার একটা ডিজাইন করলেন, চমৎকার ডিজাইন। দুঃখ যে আমরা ওইটা এখনো তৈরি করতে পারিনি। তা আমি আবার ফেরত যাচ্ছি সেই সচিবালয়ের এসে, ওখানে প্ল্যানার সাহেবরা বসলেন, এটা ইসলাম সাহেবের কাছ থেকে শোনা, ওনারা ঢাকার পরিকল্পনা করছেন। তো উনি একটু মজা করেই বললেন যে জানলা দিয়ে দেখছেন যে তেজগাঁও একটা শহরের একটা ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল এরিয়া, শিল্প এলাকা দরকার। তো শিল্প এলাকা কোথায় করা যায়, কোথায় করা যায়? আচ্ছা, জানলা দিয়ে ওই যে দূরে ওই জায়গাটা, তো তেজগাঁও একটা চমৎকার ঔষধি গাছের বাগান ছিল, এবং আমাদের পরিকল্পনার এতই দূরদর্শী যে সেই বাগানকে, কবির যেই বাগানের কথা বলছে, যেই ফরেস্টের কথা বলছে, সেই ফরেস্ট আমরা এইভাবে ধ্বংস করেছি, এই বাগান এইভাবে আমরা ধ্বংস করেছি। তো তেজগাঁও ইন্ডাস্ট্রিয়াল এরিয়া হলো, মিল কারখানা হলো, অর্থনীতিতে অনেক অবদান রাখলো, কিন্তু দেখেন সেই 60-এর দশকে, 70 দশকে এবং 80, হঠাৎ করে তেজগাঁও শহরের মাঝখানে। তো আমাদের যে এই যে একটা ভিশন ফর ফিউচার, এটা এত লিমিটেড যে হঠাৎ করে উই ডিসকভার। সো হোয়াট হ্যাপেন, ফ্যাক্টরিগুলো এখন আর নাই, ফ্যাক্টরিগুলি যেগুলো আছে সেগুলো এখন রিয়েল এস্টেট। আমরা বাড়ি বানাচ্ছি, আমাদের অফিসের জায়গা দরকার, আমাদের কনভেনশন হল দরকার আমাদের। কিন্তু কি চিন্তা করছি, কিভাবে ভাবছি সামনের সময়টাকে, ওয়ের টু গো, হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই কোথায় যাব, কিন্তু সেই যাওয়ার পথটা বের করব কিভাবে? এবং সেই বের করার জন্য উই নিড দিস কাইন্ড অফ discussions, we need this kind of seminars, symposiums, so we can form a consensus that this is how we should go. Okay, you design your building and you design, I design my building, but we can all make a place much beautiful, much better, instead of landing up in this kind of situation every 10 year, 20 year, that we have to change everything and we don't know what we are doing, how much this change is going to benefit us. So this is ad hocism. এখন দরকার, এখন করে ফেলছি, আবার বিপদে পড়ছে, আবার বদলাচ্ছি। একটা সুন্দর জায়গা, সুন্দর দেশ, সুন্দর শহর, সেটা তো আপনাকে আগে আলাপ, কি ধরনের শহর চাই। এনিওয়ে, আই ওয়াজ গোয়িং এ লিটল বিট আউট অফ দ্য ওয়ে। আমি একটু বলছিলাম এই কারণে যে এই জিনিসগুলি দরকার। তো আমরা একটা র্যাপিডলি ট্রান্সফর্মিং এনভায়রনমেন্টে কাজ করে আমাদেরকে প্রতিনিয়ত অ্যাডজাস্ট করতে হয়। যেই জিনিসগুলো চলে আসছে আমরা ভাবছি না, কিন্তু ঘটে যাচ্ছে আমাদের কাজের জন্য। তো আমি কিছুটা আমাদের কাজের ভাবনা, চিন্তা ভাবনা এবং কাজগুলো শেয়ার করব আপনাদের সাথে। আমি বলি, we see ourselves as first as explorers. আমরা খোঁজ করি, আমরা সন্ধান করি, আমরা বের করতে চেষ্টা করি। এটা এক্সপ্লোরেশনের মতো, এক্সপ্লোরার্স অফ পসিবিলিটিস, কি হতে পারে। কারণ আমি যদি জেনেই যাই, আমাকে আস্তে আস্তে করে বের করতে হবে যে কি হতে পারে। সো এক্সপ্লোরার্স প্রথমত সেটা, যে একদম অভিযাত্রী। সেকেন্ড, অ্যাজ ডিসকভারার্স। ইন দ্য প্রসেস অফ এক্সপ্লোরিং উই ডিসকভার, আমরা একটা কিছু নতুন জিনিস পেলাম যে হ্যাঁ এইটাই হবে, এইভাবেই আমাদেরকে করতে হবে। এবং discoverers of techniques, and finally as makers, আমরা বানাচ্ছি, আমরা তৈরি করছি। আমরা কিন্তু ডিসকভার করে বসে থাকছি না, আমরা বানাচ্ছি। এবং এই যে বানানো, সেটা নানা রকমের হতে পারে। এক ধরনের বানানো হবে সেটা আমরা বলছি না। আমি একরকম বানাবো, আপনি একরকম বানাবেন, এবং এটা মিলেই একটা সুন্দর পরিবেশ আমাদের তৈরি হবে। এবং এই বানানোটা আনন্দের সাথে হতে হবে। ইট শুড বি এ জয়ফুল এক্সপিরিয়েন্স। মনে অনেক যন্ত্রণা নিয়ে বানাচ্ছি, না হচ্ছে না, ভালো লাগছে না, নো নো, we have to enjoy the process. So that's the way we work. We explore, we discover, we make, and we enjoy the entire process. ভালো করে করার চেষ্টা করি, we try to do it well, and we keep life in mind. All these places that we make, all these buildings and places, is for life to happen. We should be enjoying. We have gathered here to celebrate architecture. What architecture is? Architecture is about life. Without people, buildings are nothing. So people and buildings together is architecture. তো আমরা কিছু ছোট ছোট কাজ দিয়ে শুরু করি। আমি ব্যক্তিগতভাবে 40 বছর ধরে কাজ করছি, তো এত বড় কিছু করিনি, ছোট ছোট কাজ করেছি। তো রিসেন্টলি কতগুলো ছোট কাজ করলাম, আমি আপনাদের সাথে সেটা শেয়ার করি। Someone is changing for me? তো এইটা ঢাকার সরওয়ার্দী উদ্যান। সরওয়ার্দী উদ্যানে প্রতি বছর ফেব্রুয়ারি মাসে একটা বই মেলা হয়, বুক ফেয়ার, 21শে বই মেলা আমরা বলি। তো আমি 3 বছর আগে I was in a conversation with a leading publisher of this country. ওনাদের সাথে একটা বই বানাবো, ওইটা নিয়ে আলাপ করছিলাম। তো ওখানকার যে কর্ণধার ম্যানেজিং ডিরেক্টর আমাদেরকে খুব পছন্দ করেন। তো বললেন যে সাইফ ভাই, আপনি একটা আমাদের অফিসটা সাজিয়ে দেন, আমরা অফিস নতুন একটা মুভ করেছি। তাই বললাম যে হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, করা যায়, তো আমরা এই করি। তো হঠাৎ করে উনি আবার ফোন করলেন একদিন যে সাইফ ভাই, আমরা তো প্রতি বছর মেলায় অংশগ্রহণ করি, কিন্তু আমাদের একটা জিনিস আমাদেরকে খুব চিন্তায় ফেলে। আমরা এত পয়সা খরচ করে এই প্যাভিলিয়নগুলি বানাই, স্টলগুলি বানাই, এত আয়োজন করি, কিন্তু মেলার শেষে আমরা এগুলোকে সব ফেলে দিই, দে বিকাম ওয়েস্ট। তা আমরা এমন কিছু করতে পারি যেটা কিছুটা আমরা পরে ব্যবহার করতে পারি, আমরা এই অপচয়ের পরিমাণটা কমিয়ে আনতে পারি, এমন কিছু কি করা যায়? আমি বললাম যে হ্যাঁ, মজার জিনিস, আমরা তো অবশ্যই এটা ভাবতে পারি। অ্যান্ড উই ডিসাইডেড যে উই উইল আন্ডারটেক দিস প্রজেক্ট। I mean, architecture is not a story of architects. Architecture is also a story of these people like that managing director. I mean, it's a her. I mean, the way she expressed her desire that can we take an approach like this? Then I said that yes, here is one person. She's thinking about the future. I mean, what does it matter throwing away some bamboo, some boards, some CI sheets and something like that? But she was concerned that not only is waste of these materials, waste of money also. I mean, we know that we need to make a lot of money, and we took the challenge. So in 2023, we designed a pavilion for them. Jay pavilion ta আপনি ব্যবহার করার হয়ে যাওয়ার পরে সব নয়, কিছু জিনিস রেখে দিতে পারবেন যেটা পরবর্তীতে আবার ব্যবহার করা যাবে। সুন্দর করে প্যাক করে স্টোরেজে রেখে দিলাম। তো এইভাবে আমরা কিছুটা হলেও কার্বন ফুটপ্রিন্ট কমাতে পারি। এই যে পুনর্ব্যবহার, রিইউজ, এই পুনর্ব্যবহারের যে ব্যাপারটা, এটা কিন্তু আজকের না। আমরা যেই সাস্টেইনেবিলিটির কথা বলছি, আমরা যেই ক্লাইমেট চেঞ্জের কথা বলছি, তার একটা বড় কম্পোনেন্ট হলো এই রিইউজ। যে যতদিন আয়ু বাড়াতে পারি। আজকাল আমি জানি যে আমরা যদি নতুন নতুন জিনিস না বানাই আমাদের ইকোনমি চলবে না, কিন্তু এটা নতুনভাবে একটা ইকোনমির চিন্তা করা যায়, যেটা এখন অনেকেই চক্রাকার অর্থনীতির কথা বলছেন, সার্কুলার ইকোনমি। তো সেই জিনিসগুলোকে নিয়ে যে ভাবার যে ব্যাপারটা, তো আমরা এই প্যাভিলিয়নের কাজটাতে উই explored this notion of reuse, এবং এই 3টা এডিশন আমরা করলাম সরবতি উদ্যানে 2023-এ, 2024-এ এবং এই বছর 2025-এ আমরা এই 3টা প্যাভিলিয়ন করলাম। I don't know, I'm not okay. তো এই যে 3টা প্যাভিলিয়নের প্ল্যান আমরা যেটা ব্যবহার করলাম, BSRM কোম্পানি হয়তো খুশি হবেন আমরা ব্যবহার করেছি কিনা ওনাদের, আমরা প্রাইমারিলি স্টিলের পাইপ ইউজ করলাম এবং বিভিন্ন ডায়ামিটারের, খুঁটির জন্য একটা ডায়ামিটারের পাইপ, আপনার পার্লিনের জন্য একটা ডায়ামিটারের পাইপ, রাফটারের জন্য একটা ডায়ামিটারের পাইপ, এবং সেগুলো আমাদের যে স্ক্যাফোল্ডিং করার জন্য যেই ক্ল্যাম্পগুলো আছে সেই ক্ল্যাম্পগুলো দিয়ে আমরা আটকালাম, সিআই শিট দিয়ে ছাদ দিলাম। এটা আমরা বললাম যে এইটা আমরা রেখে দেব। এটা রাখা কয়েক বছর, আমরা যখন শাটারিং স্ক্যাফোল্ডিং করি আমরা 7 বার ব্যবহার করার হিসাব করে কস্টিং করে থাকি, তো আমরা এটা করতে পারি। কিন্তু ডিজাইনটা একই ডিজাইন বারবার আনবো না, ডিজাইনে আমরা বদলাবো। কারণ আপনি পরের বছর আসলেন, এসে দেখলেন ও ওই একই জিনিস নিয়ে আসছে। একই কাঠামোকে কিভাবে আমরা প্রতিবার একটা চমৎকারভাবে যারা মেলায় আসছে দর্শনার্থী তাদেরকে এটা আমরা করতে পারি, সেটা আমরা চেষ্টা করলাম। তো প্রথম এডিশনের প্ল্যান দেখাচ্ছি 2023-এ, 2024-এ এবং 2025-এ। Three plans basically. The site is decided, 24 feet by 24 feet, so the variation has to happen within that site, and the fairground has a typical layout, so we operated within that, and we came out with the first idea. After the fair was over, the materials were taken, the pavilion was taken down, they were packed and taken to a storage, and it stayed in the storage for a year. Again brought back the next year, but the design, we had made some changes. So these are the 3 plans. I don't know, I'm having a bit of, okay. So this is how the 3 versions were made. So in 2023, this is what we did. In 2024, we used the same material, but we changed the plan. We changed the appearance, the graphics and colors and all this thing. And in 2025, we made a big change. Earlier we had 4 different modules, and we said that, okay, this year we'll have 1 big roof. And the graphics are done by the company. They have a fantastic designing section. They design book covers, they design their promotional materials, and said, yeah, you do it. We give you the space, and you do it in your way. The colors we suggested about the counters. So these 3 pavilions have quite a few things in common. They have the same steel pipes, they have the same corrugated iron sheets, there's the same lights, they have the same light structures. So basically, that's what we could carry on. So steel is an amazing material. And I'm glad that BSRM is organizing this event, and I'm starting my presentation with the steel items. Anyway, so this is the 3 pavilions. And what is Okay. What is more amazing is the way we take it down. I mean, it's not about putting it together, but it's also taking. So we build it, I mean, we designed it, and then we get only 7 days time to put it together, building it. The fair lasts for a month, and then we carefully dismantle it. I mean, we carefully put it together, and we carefully dismantle it. So everything is done like this. So you can see this in this image, and it is done in only 1 day, from morning to sunset, because the day it's over, that day is a kind of a mayhem in the fairground. Everybody is taking out their things and everything. It must be clear in a day. So it has to be planned, the entire dismantling, and then listing, cataloging, and taking to the storage. So you can see in the way it's being taken down, the way it's being, the inventory is prepared, and the way it's being transported in this rickshaw vans. They're going to the storage, and they stay in the storage for a year. Again, to be brought back to life. This is very important, life of buildings. I mean, we don't build for eternity. We build keeping certain time in mind. I mean, this was a factory building. So these people converted this into a convention hall. And maybe a time will come that, okay, this has to go down, something else will come. So there is a time frame. We talk about pyramid, but the way pyramid was built, we don't use it anymore. So it's a tourist attraction, it's huge, and it is also an evidence that we have built huge things, we have built monumental things only to bury the rulers, to keep their belongings, but monumental things. These days, we are more practical. We'd like to, I mean, we leave the world, so we are gone. When the new people come, they will think. So that kind of permanence, the eternal presence, is no longer there. So we'd like to live in a world which is more, I mean, kind of regenerating, not, I mean, okay, we have to be careful about the resources that we use. So I think of all the images, I love this image. The way everything is stored and cataloged. So this is 2025, the recent thing. Okay, so I have to go to the, something is, yeah. And this is a project which we usually don't do as architects, probably maybe. I mean, I received a phone call from a film director, very famous. You heard of Ghiyasuddin Salim. So he calls me one day, he gets my number, said that my name is Ghiyasuddin Salim. Are you Saif Ul Haque? I'm saying, yes, I'm Saif Ul Haque. I was a little taken aback because he's a very well-known filmmaker, and he says that your number has been given to me by this man who knows you well, and I want you to be my production designer. And so, what production designing? So he calls me, and I'd like to come to your office. I'd like to see you. I said, okay, I'm interested. I don't know anything about production designing, but I'm interested to talk to you and he's a very well-known filmmaker. His film Monpura, which you have heard. So he was working on this, one of this Giti Moimishing Gitikar Golpo, Kajol Rekha. He was working on that, and he had prepared the script, and he came to see me. I had idea about the Moimishing Gitika, and I said that, okay, why not? Let's explore. Explorers. and maybe we'll discover something interesting. So we decided to explore the role of production designing for Ghiyasuddin Salim in his film Kajol Rekha. And then I read the script, and this is the setting is medieval Bengal. I mean, and he said that, I know that you know about old things, so you will be the best person to design this thing. So I really don't know how people lived at that time. We have some ruins, some temples, monuments, and some images from the colonial times. This British artists would go and make drawings. So I think this is all I know. Well, no, you are the only person who can do it. So, oh my God, that's a lot. So we said that, okay. And I read the script. My associate, my wife Salma, she's also here, and she also read the script. And then we got our daughter. She loves to draw. That you help us visualizing this. So we told her the story, and she produced the sketches. Of course, with her computer, she produced the sketches, because I showed her how the houses could have been like. I mean, okay, we know about monumental architecture, brick, but for the people, it was only bamboo. I mean, we have built beautiful bamboo structures. Only thing that the life is such that it doesn't continue to be there forever. So they go away. So we relied on these drawings, these sketches, to create an image of that time. So these are the sketches our daughter Aditi drew for us. So this, the second one. And then we went looking for site. And they had seen some places, they took us there. And on the first visit, we saw some places. So there were three main structures. One was the house of Kajol Rekha, family home. One was the house of Shuch Kumar, the prince. And one was a pleasure pavilion, which we called Joltungi Ghor, the Joltungi house. So we looked around and we said, okay, this will do, this will do. So they took lease of those lands with structures which they say that will dismantle, and they will make a temporary structure when the movie was being shot, when the sets were done, and afterwards the houses will be left behind and they will also have their house. So we went to see the site, and we prepared 3 layouts imagining these houses that could have been. I mean, this is something that I had no idea that how the houses. So one can conjure, one can make a conjectural idea that one can conjecture that how they could have been. But I'm sure that this might not have been like that. But we decided, okay, so we made this design for 3 houses. We did some other things also. Courtyards and the pavilions with bamboo and thatch. That's what we did. I think, okay. And the spaces echoed the eternal Bengal, the climate, the material, the topography, all this were brought into this idea. I don't know whether people lived a few hundred years like this. I'm sure they were living like this. So this is how we looked into the houses. So the house of Kajol Rekha, and this description, this plan was very much informed and also inspired by the script. The Dinesh Chandra Sen's text the way he talked about these houses. And we imagine from one room to the other, from one space to the other. So this is how the visualization was done. So the Kajal Rekha house, a complex, and then Shuj Kumar, the Kumar's house. So there was a two-storied, the Kumar's, the hut, Kumar's house was two, and the water pavilion. And we enjoyed doing the water pavilion, Jal Tungi. And this is how, and they were built in a very short time and built with whatever resources we could get from the area. So this was north of Bangladesh in Netrokona, in a place called Shushang Durgapur. And we enjoyed the process very much, traveling from Dhaka, getting all the craftspeople, and all the people were from the local craftspeople. And they do amazing bamboo work. So we designed this thing, and of course for the movie only, because these were movie sets, but you could live. And this is the other project talking about life of building. 2016 it was done, so it's almost 10 years back it was completed. But I was taken to this site by my aunt. Here the client was my aunt, and she took us to see a place she has bought in 2011. We went to see. So these are a site was the next to the river, which was flooded when we went there. And then the flood, it was a recurring thing. It's typical for Bengal Delta, seasonal flooding of the floodplain. So I told her, she wanted to build a school over there. And I said that, look, this place is a very sensitive area. It's better not to change the topography, because during the monsoon you have all these waters coming, and in the dry season the waters will recede. So it is a dynamic landscape. It is not something that is fixed throughout the year, through ages. It changes. So how do you intervene in a dynamic condition? So the architecture also has to be dynamic. It cannot be something fixed. When the water comes, it's there like that. When the water recedes. So we decided to take this challenge, and we decided to explore. And we love to explore. And we decided to attempt a design that will change with the changing condition, situation of this site. So after observing for a few years, so this was the site plan we prepared. The building, of course, looks very static, which was never like, but we architects are used to drawing things very static. And this is the dry condition situation. And in 2016, the school was completed. We started building on the site in 2015. It took us a while, and this was during the flood. And we mapped the condition of this site with the changing seasons from dry to wet, and how the water comes and how the water recedes and how does the structure. Well, this is again a static image, not the dynamic, and this is how it was like. Sadly, it is no longer there. It survived 4 monsoons, and in the 5th monsoon, it could not continue. So life, very short. So it's about short life, it's about long life, it's about life. So this is how it was like in 2019, February. and 2019 August. So where are we working? We work here in Bangladesh. It's a particular location. It has particular society, particular climate, economy, everything. And this location of Bangladesh, I think we at times miss out this location, the role of location in architecture. If I was in Greenland, would I be doing that, would I be doing that bamboo and thatch? No way. I would have made igloos, probably, but even concrete structures, but not a bamboo and thatch thing. But here in Bengal, we built with bricks. We built these days definitely with concrete and much steel and everything. But we take into account the conditions, the situation of the particular area, and that's how our architecture is like. So the particular location of Bangladesh, and also Bangladesh, we are not doing architecture for the first time. We have thousands of years of history, but our climate, our political situation at times is not very fair to the life of buildings. So in the ancient times, 3rd century BC, we had beautiful cities. Pundanagar, the name, this was a town from Ashok Maurya's time. It was one of the easternmost city of the Mauryan Empire, Ashokan's empire. But that is now a ruin covered with soil, and archaeologists go and dig and try to establish a history, try to find out a history. So people have been living here for a few thousand years, if not more. And these plans are from a book, a documentation that we did in the 90s. We decided that we should know more about our history, our heritage, to build in Bangladesh. So these are monasteries, these are temples, these are mosques, these are zamindar houses, starting from the earliest time to the most recent time. And this is how they look when some of them are in ruins, some of them are buried underground. I mean, because so much soil has been deposited. So this is the particular condition of Bangladesh, architectural references that we have. This is how it is like. Same is also applicable for the rural and vernacular architecture. The materials are not kind of long-lasting. Mud, bamboo, thatch, and all these things. So we keep that in mind when we design this kind of arrangement, the space arrangement, the courtyards, the huts. And if we look at the planning, this is probably the most appropriate way to go in a tropical climate. Individual pavilions, open to sky spaces, you let the air go through, you let the sunlight come, you have indoor spaces, outdoor spaces. That would be the best way to live in a tropical climate. So after 47, we had to start from something, I mean, everything from the beginning. because the colonial experience was a rupture in our historical continuity. The way we lived, the way we worked. So in 1947, in this part of the world, there was no architect. There was no architect before 1952. There were engineers. So there was a man whose name was Mazhar Islam. He was trained as an engineer in Shibpur. He was from Chittagong. He came to Bangladesh, and he decided to go and study architecture. He went all the way to United States, to Oregon, to study architecture. And in 3 years, because he has already studied engineering, so in 3 years he could do his undergraduate. He comes back and he designs 2 interesting structures, 2 important structures, 2 beautiful structures. One is the College of Fine Arts, and other is the public library in Sarvadi, in Ramna. These 2 buildings laid the foundation of our modern architecture, our contemporary architecture. 2 brilliant works. So he was a great mind, and another great mind he got into Bangladesh was Louis Kahn. So these 2 buildings, Mazhar Islam designed the art college in 1953, Kahn designed in 63, the parliament building. In 10 years' time, Bangladesh's architecture became a vibrant thing. One is Mazhar Islam, and other this involvement of these architects like Louis Kahn. Mazhar Islam brought his teacher Paul Rudolph and his friend Stanley Tigerman, and there were others like Doc Sidis and Bob Bowie. So many others were also working. So Bangladesh's architecture's vibrancy began in the 50s, and it continued and it continues till date. This is interesting that a country, a small country in terms of land, a huge country in terms of people, has such a vibrant architecture culture. Anyway, so this is Khan. But again, we had no architects. We had no architectural schools. So strange. For a few centuries, we have been creating all these beautiful buildings, but one fine morning we discovered that we cannot go and study architecture. We cannot go. So architecture education needs to be started, and it was started in 1962. The first school of architecture was established. The Americans helped us, thanks to the USAID. So they made the engineering college into an university, because that's how it was going to be like. And university we needed. So university needed 2 faculties. What would be the other faculty? If there's an engineering faculty, we need another faculty. Okay, let's have architecture and planning as a faculty. So that's how the School of Architecture and Planning started here. This is something which I find it very difficult to take. People with thousands of years of architecture all of a sudden have to start from zero, and that too, with people who probably did not have much understanding of the culture. Because we had all these American teachers coming, they were teaching us. And then the initial batch were engineers who went to training. Anyway, but these 2 images show that a nation with thousands of years of architectural history was learning architecture, learning it from the very beginning. Again, some of us were fortunate, were lucky that we found Mazhar Islam. He was still around, but he was leading a life of a recluse. He was kind of, times have changed. So we went to him that we want to learn from you. You have done such wonderful things for architecture, but we don't see you much. So how can we? He said that, well, I didn't know that you were interested to learn. I mean, he was a little, I mean, he was not that happy. He was there, but somehow he was not there. Then I said, no, we are very interested. Okay. So we formed a small group, a study group, to study architecture. So with Moses Islam, and then as we were, I think in fourth year, fifth year students, and we took out a manifesto, architecture manifesto here in Bangladesh. We said that we did a critique of the condition of the situation, and we charted a pathway. Where to go? This is where we would like to go. That was in the early 80s, a group of young architects. We decided to go like that. And based on that, we started this journey in architecture. So this is the very first project that got built, one of ours. So when we went to see the site, it was a paddy field. It was out there in the north, near the Meghalayan borders. It was for this gas transmission company, and they wanted to build a small housing project. The gas pipeline was under the rice fields, the paddy fields, because the gas line has been buried. Now it can be cultivated again. But they had acquired this land and they wanted to build a small housing project, and they asked us if we could help them with this project. I said, yeah, we can try, let's see. And this is the layout that we did for this housing project. So here, I don't know, there's a pointer here. Can I go back? Yeah. No. Yeah. So there's this line in the drawing which shows the gas line buried underground, and it crosses River Shurma to go to the other side where there were these lime factories. And we could not build over there. But the places where we could build, we decided that this housing should reflect how we live in our villages, how this community comes together. So around courtyards, we grouped the houses for the officers, for the staff. The office was already existing, number 3. It was designed by one of the architects. So there was a mosque, there was a guest house, and a small pond. So when it was completed, the black and white photos are from that time. They could build only 2 houses. And still these 2 houses are there, but all this vegetation have grown and it has changed. So these 2 houses we wanted to build with brick, but unfortunately the engineers say that no, we cannot have this brick buildings. We'll have brick buildings. And they didn't want us to build 2-storied houses. They said that we have to build only, minimum 4 stories. That's what the planning commission says. I said, look, the soil is like this. If you want to build a multi-story, the foundation will eat up all your budget. So let's do a 2-story structure with a foundation, and let's have at least few houses. So we could only build 2 houses. And this is how it is like. So in 1992, that was 89, yeah. So in 92, we were approached, I mean, we were in contact with Sir Fazl Hassan Abed, and we said that we could do something for you. And he said, why don't you do a training center for me? So Sir Abed, my partner Jalal is here, former partner from Diagram Architects, and we said that we'd like to go and see the place first where you want to build this training center. So both of us decided, and there was no bridge at that time. We had to cross the Jamuna, Padda and Jamuna near Aricha. It was a journey, quite a journey. So when we reached there, so a typical rural site and the surrounding areas. So we tried to understand what this site is telling us. What can we do over there? So the site is the first thing that we look into before we actually think about anything. What this site wants to be. So, and this is what we designed for them. The site wanted to be with its neighbors, and the neighbors were villages. And how can we create a training center which can be a part of the entire surrounding, and what can be the architectural expression can be like? Next one. And this is the site section. Very humble, modest, and very cost-effective works. Next. And this is how, I mean, of course, they were made with bricks and concrete, tiles, CI sheet, but they somehow did not try to go and tell over there that, look at us. I mean, we are also buildings, but we are in harmony with our neighbors. Next. And this is how it was completed with handmade bricks. Very, the scale was kept near the ground. Next. So that project was followed by another project, and this was in Jessore for another NGO who came to know about the Faridpur project, and we went to see the site. So this is how the site presented, the entry to the site, and this is where they wanted to put the building in the middle, and that's the environment. Next. So we put together the complex in the site because these people, they had already had some structures over there, and they didn't want to use that place. They said that you built over there, which was a place which was submerged in water, and we said, okay, no worries. So we designed a small training center, similar as the BRAC one. Next one. And this is the way this space was conceived. The buildings, the open spaces, I mean, open to sky courtyards, and taking inspiration from the local, rural, vernacular architecture. Next. And this is how they were built, with local handmade bricks, very modest scale. Next. And this is how the spaces were like. I mean, with sunlight, with air. Next. So that project was followed by another project. This was in the north. This was for a archaeological mission who works during the winter. So they said that design us a small house. They used to come from France every winter to carry out these excavations. And I said, okay, we can try, because they were putting up in hotel and that was costing them a lot. So they calculated that they'll be here for next 10 years. And if we make a small house, we can have a place of our own, and we can save that money. Next. Here we designed another project, again centered around codes, a single-storied house, one part for them to stay and one part for them to work. Next. And this is how, kept very modest. We're very close to the ramparts, and it was next to the museum of the place. It's called Mahastangor, the ancient city site of Pundranagar. Next. And again in the section, the built-up spaces and the open spaces. The way one would allow the breeze to flow through, and you can stay in the shade during hot summer days. And in the winter, you can come out and enjoy the sun in the courtyard. Next. And this is how the spaces were like. And we could go up to the roof terrace. You can have some sunbathing. You can look at the distance. You can see the ramparts. Next, please. And that was followed by another project. Here we were asked to design a hostel for students of Buddhist faith. This was next to the Chittagong University, a Buddhist temple, and a half-finished stupa. And the client was this temple and this monk who was helped by the Italian Red Cross Society, because in '91 there was a big cyclone, all these makeshift structures that were there, they were destroyed, and Italian Red Cross Society that will help you to rebuild these hostels. So we were asked to design this hostel. So when I went there, I looked at this place and I looked at the condition of the students who were living there. These students were from Buddhist faith. So Chittagong University hostels, I mean, it was difficult to get an accommodation because the university was away from the city. So they would be sort of staying in some very makeshift houses. And this monk of the temple, he said that you can come and stay. So they made some temporary structures. And we were asked to design this hostel for them. Next time. Okay, 4 minutes, I'll wrap up. Okay, next please. So this is what we made. We made the first, the building on the left side, the first one, the next one, we designed later the spaces. We have to go easy a bit. So this is how it was finished. Next. Next, please. And the section. Next. And this is how the spaces resulted, the courtyards and the building. Next. Next. So I gave the title Site and Situation. So before I conclude, I would like to read out something. So in 1963, when Louis Khan came to Bangladesh to design the Shere Bangla Nagar, he was taken to show the site in an open jeep. And after coming back from this site, he wrote to his girlfriend a postcard from Hotel Intercontinental. He was staying in Intercontinental. On the postcard, on one side is an image of Shalbon Bihar from Mainamati, and on the other side he wrote to his girlfriend Harriet Pattison. And this is what I'm going to read, what he wrote. The site is a no man's land, completely without distinction, not a contour, a cluster of trees, not a distant landmark. I was driven around in a jeep, crisscrossing the site, and all the time thinking of what can make it worthy of the thoughts I had before. And I had before I saw it. Then at lunch, it dawned on me to include in the assembly assembly group of mosque. And that changed the whole thing. I mean, looking at a site which was not at all inspiring, and he found his first inspiration because he observed the way we lived, the call to prayers, azan. It was the sound of the site that struck into him. And at lunch, he shared it with the engineer at that time, and he said, "Professor Khan, you have it." So it was the site that made him think of the mosque, the larger composition. And then another from Mazhar Islam, when he was asked to design the Chittagong University, and this is published in this book my friend Qazi has taken out, and he says, "I am an architect. I'm given a site for a building. I use that site to the maximum of its utilization in a creative way." That's what he says. This is one thing, but if I perceive things differently as a citizen in a large-scale context, what is it doing to the city? I become very conscious. I always had a fight for this with my clients. And he's talking about this. So in Chittagong University, we considered a number of things. We studied the site for 1 year. He just didn't rush and started designing buildings. He studied the site for a year. The hills on the site, the trees on the hills, the flatlands, and after discussions and studying the quality of hills, whether they are running east-west or north-south, after considering carefully what is happening to the southern breeze, we came to the conclusion that we will not destroy the hills. We will not level the top of the hills. That was a decision he took after studying the hills for a year. So that is Mazhar Islam, and that is Louis Kahn. So for us, I mean, the way we look into architecture, the site and the situation, before it becomes work, it is very important for us to understand what the site is telling us and how can we respond to that, the voice of the site. And what is the situation? I mean, when we talk about situation, it's not only the immediate situation. There is a larger situation, the political situation, the social situation, the economic situation, cultural situation, and all these are very important factors. And site is an inspiration, so is the situation. So for us, these are the inspirations that takes us. Next, please. And it's not only about the me or him. It's about a big, big team. So here in this last slide, we design, we see buildings to its completion, and we work as a team. And on the left, this black and white photograph, you will find 3 of us present here in this hall. You have Jalal, you have Qazi, you have me, and sadly, Razi is not here, who passed away in 97. But we still continue with the spirit that we began in the 80s, and we look forward to continuing. Of course, adjusting ourselves with the changing realities, but not losing the way. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saif Ul Bhai, for your thought-provoking and revelatory presentation.